A very good morning and welcome back to Oberhof for day 2 of the Tour de Ski for 2010-2011. A very happy new year to all of you and congratulations for getting up in time for this women's pursuit race based on the results of yesterday's prologue, which turned out to be an absolute classic, with Justyna Kowalczyk doing exactly as we thought she would. Starting last, took full advantage of that and came through to win the 15-second bonus for finishing in first place. But all the big seeds are still in there. The only absentee from the Tour in the women's event is from Germany, and consequently a full field and high-quality racing expected today.
Well, that's right. Sachenbacher, she still has a very high temperature and could not start yesterday. So if you don't start or miss one of the stages, you're out of the whole Tour, which is a pity for Sachenbacher. This was one of our main aims of this season.
Now, the temperatures this morning down around -4, -4.5, and it's getting warmer as the day goes on, as expected. The air temperature coming up towards 0 degrees now, so the waxing absolutely crucial in this classic race. It's a pursuit race with the best from yesterday starting first, and Mike, those starting early might have to have slightly different wax from those at the back of the pack who are going to be on very pressed glazed tracks.
Certainly for the first lap of 3.6 kilometres, without a doubt, Patrick, and it will become icy and slippier later.
Well, they're due off in just a couple of minutes' time. We'll be back in time for that. Welcome back to Oberhof. One or two cheerful faces. I can tell you there was not a lot of celebrating going on in the town last night, because everyone having to stay in perfect physical condition for today's race. I think their New Year's celebrations will come a little bit later on, certainly after the Tour is finished. It's a grueling programme, 8 races in 10 days, and well, we'll wait and see who can survive that. Astrid Jakobsen of Norway, very good performance yesterday, Mike. Certainly took me by surprise, and she only finished 24th last year. Charlotte Kaller, another one who feels good, but can Kaller do what is required to catch Justyna Kowalczyk?
It's a huge ask for any athlete to try and haul in 6 seconds on Kowalczyk, and I think Kowalczyk is going to attack this one from the gun as usual, but try to make sure that Kaller doesn't get onto the tail of her skis. That will be her mission. Kaller, on the other hand, her mission will be to try and make some kind of contact early so that she'll be effectively dragged on. But remember, Kaller has worked so hard to improve her classic. It was her weakness. She's worked on that all summer. She's a much better classic skier now.
Yeah, but Kowalczyk is a much better classic skier than she is freestyle skier, and she went and won the freestyle prologue yesterday. She is now the full item. She's got absolutely everything that is required, plus she probably has a stronger mind than anyone here. The ability to override the pain that comes from pushing your body beyond comfortable levels, and that's where Kowalczyk is just a cut above everyone else. Everything looks good for her, Mike. She won this race last year. She's the defending Tour champion. She's obviously won yesterday, so she's got that little time advantage over Kaller at the start, and it's going to be a very brave man or woman to bet against her.
It is. The only other aspects I'm looking at here, Patrick, when we mentioned the waxing earlier, at these fairly warm temperatures, the track is going to become icy, and the only issue there for Kowalczyk is, have the technicians got it exactly right? Difficult to do.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that. Just a quick look at the conditions there. You see the temperatures approaching 0, and the humidity is particularly high at the moment. Now, the course, you may recognise it, very similar at this stage to the prologue yesterday. 3 laps to make up the 10 kilometres, and in fact very similar to the men's prologue yesterday. So a tough course. We'll get to see a fair amount of them as they come through the stadium 3 times, and the fact that the snow's still hanging on to the trees, meaning that the thaw hasn't really set in the forest itself. There's the start list, and Mike, a 6-second advantage for Kowalczyk.
It's a good advantage, and that's partly because she got the 15-second bonus. Of course, Kaller got 10-second bonus. I think Petra Maric, we saw her not perform so well in this one last year, but I think it was the wax. It was the wrong wax. Today she will move up, I'm sure.
Theresa Johaug starts 22. She made huge advances in this race last year. She will do the same, and And the same goes for Valentina Shevchenko, starting 27. Expect to see her moving up into the top 10. This is her absolute forte, the 10-kilometer classic, and that's where she's excelled over the years. Loves the long climbs, very light frame, and I don't think she can win it, but she can certainly get herself into a respectable position. Now, but the big question is, can anyone catch Kowalczyk? She's quick, she's strong, and she's in very, very good shape indeed. Charlotte Kalla has the best chance and must decide whether she goes like a whippet out of that start gate to get on the tails of Kowalczyk.
I think that will be our out-and-out strategy. The coaches last night, I know they were at the team meeting, they were looking at every aspect of the strategy on how to beat Kowalczyk. I think she has to get onto her ski tips very quickly.
So the athletes all lined up, ready for the start of phase 2 of the Tour de Ski, the first race in 2011. It's not very kind of the programmers to put them so early on New Year's Day, but this is something that they've got used to. They've enjoyed the fact that the crowd numbers are much, much better than many of the World Cups, and as the Tour goes on, the crowds will get bigger and bigger. Away goes Kowalczyk. She's got a 5-6 second lead over Kalla of Sweden. Of course, Kalla, a former winner of the Tour de Ski, and then right on their tails, a slight surprise, Astrid Jakobsen. Jakobsen doesn't have the classic skills, I don't think, that's required to catch the two in front. The question for her is, can she hold on long enough to give herself a chance in the sprints, because that's what she's so good at.
It's just a case of hanging on there. Patrick, so many of the athletes in the first couple of strides, they were slipping. You want to get good grip when you press your foot down through the ski to get your propulsion forward.
Absolutely take you there, Mike, but what you don't want, even more than a slip, is clogging on the ski, because that will cause real problems if you happen to have to step out of the track and into the softer snow.
Such a fine balance, isn't it?
Yeah, really tricky.
You have to get this right. Look at the traffic jam that we're going to see as this race progresses. 57 seconds separating 57 athletes.
Yeah, the only advantage that the leaders have got, Mike, is in the thickest part of the fog, they've only got to be 20 yards ahead and they're out of sight. And it's normally that visual contact that is so important. Kalla looks to have closed down just a fraction. 6 seconds was the margin. We'll keep a very close eye on that. And already we can see that Kalla is going flat out. I think Jakobsen knows that she's going to get caught by the pack. She'd probably be well advised just to take it easy for the first kilometre. Of course, you can see Petra Madic in the bright yellow suit. And then amongst the Russians, we've got Yulia Shikalova, who's wearing bib number 5. She's had a good race yesterday, the woman from Yologor. I'll try to look that up on Google, but there was absolutely no information apart from the fact that that's where Shikalova lived.
Well, some of the, and looking at Shikalova, they're recently taking part in the Eastern European Cup, so on Christmas Day racing over this distance actually, and performing well.
Double polling section as they go through the stadium. This is where the preparation of the skis is so important. Those of you that haven't skied on cross-country skis, there's a very strong camber, a very strong bow on the ski that keeps, when you stand on both skis, it keeps the central part of the ski off the snow, and that's where the grip wax is applied. If the skis are too soft, you find you're pushing against the friction of the grip wax on the snow. If they're too hard, you never get the grip when you come to the steep uphill sections, and it is a delicate balance, as Mike says.
It's so true, and it's such a technique is everything. You need to be able to transfer the body weight dynamically, as you said, to flatten out the curve in that ski to get the purchase. And it's all about timing, and it's all about the correct posture on the ski to get that timing, and Kowalczyk, one of the best.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? When the tension rises, then their technique just goes slightly awry, and that's all because the timing isn't perfection. Kowalczyk seems to have great grip. Can't see her gliding the ski at the moment, but she's not short of grip on these long climbs around the Oberhof Stadium. Very, very important sporting arena pre-unification days, of course. And it's nice to see that they've continued to use these facilities for World Cups, not only cross-country, but biathlon and bobsleigh and Nordic combined as well.
And of course the ski school, which in old Eastern European terms, this was one of the key areas for developing their winter athletes, and it still continues today. Very good sports school here.
So Kowalczyk, having been closed down by Kalla in the first 500 metres, has started to apply the pressure. It's still 1, 2, 3 as we started. Making a bit of ground is Aina-Kaisa Saarinen, who produced the fastest leg in this race last year, obviously buoyed by that. Petra Majic starting to turn it up. She went from first down to 10th last year, but there was definitely a problem with the skis on that occasion. This year she's got to do it the other way round. She starts in 8th, needs to work her way up into the top 3, because Majic, I think, Mike, how do you fancy her chances in the sprint tomorrow?
I think she's going to fare well in the sprint, Patrick. Of course, it's in the classic technique. This is Majic, it's her strength, and when it comes to short racing, 1.2 kilometres, I think she could certainly win.
So there goes Kalla wearing bib number 2. The margin now 14 seconds, having been just 6 seconds behind. Jakobsen started 10 seconds down. She's now 19. Majic closing right down, having started 24 seconds down. She's got to within 21, so she's the only one making any ground on Kowalczyk. Nice to see Stephanie Böhler going well, the 29-year-old from Ruhpolding. And Barthélemy starting to lose ground. I don't think there was any real surprise with that. She's a very good freestyle skier. But the Tour de Ski is all about all-round skills. You've got to be able to sprint, you've got to be able to do the distance, you've got to be able to do the classic and the freestyle skiing.
I think we have, certainly in the men's field, some of the out-and-out sprinters like Petrikov, who starts in second later. I think he's really only here for the first couple of days. Sprint tomorrow, I can't see real out-and-out sprinters being able to handle these distance races well.
Saarinen, the driving force in that chasing group that have caught Jakobsen, so only 2 in front of them now. And decision time for Charlotte Kalla. Does she continue to ski in no man's land, or does she just ease up, save some energy, and make sure that she can get onto the back of the chasing group that I think are likely to catch her at some stage?
Look at the technical aspects here. This is a very, very fast right-hander after this quick descent. You need to be well balanced, well poised to take it.
Yeah, beautiful skiing from Krista Lehtomäki of Finland. Looked very, very comfortable indeed.
I think Lehtomäki, I think she's the new Koitinen for the Finnish team. She's young, she's good and very good in classic, she's very good in freestyle. She could even win this tour.
Yeah, she's wearing bib number 10 today. Started 24 down, has lost a couple of seconds to Petra Majic, but still looks in very good shape indeed. And also going through there for the United States, Mike. Great to see Kickin Randall racing in the Tour de Ski for the very first time.
Yeah, and it was her birthday yesterday, and a fantastic performance in the sprint races. She might lose a little today, yeah, so but 16th position was great.
No birthday celebration, no New Year's Eve celebration. She must be feeling a little outdone. There's Lehtomäki wearing 10, just tucked in now behind Charlotte Kalla. That's a really good gain. She's already taken 18 seconds out of Charlotte Kalla.
I think Saarinen on the left, bib number 6. I know the camera foreshortens this hill. It's a long, difficult climb, but I think Saarinen's going to be the main challenge to Kowalczyk.
Yeah, what about the wax? I think Charlotte Kalla looks as though there's a lot of work going through the arms. Lehtomäki without too much grip, looking very... Jakobsen looks to have good wax, but she's already lost a bit of ground on the downhill section, so the Norwegians might possibly have gone a little bit too soft or a little bit too long with that grip wax, which is great for the uphills, but it really does hold you back on the downhill sections. 32, making great ground is that's Elena Przeszkova of Slovakia, who's got herself into the chasing group, and that's a phenomenal effort, having started 37 seconds behind.
Charlotte Kalla now on 89% of maximum. This is well, it's an easier part of the course. Petra Majic 83%, just 159 beats per minute, so she's got a very low resting heartbeat.
So just one woman left out in front, and it looks as though Kowalczyk is going to try and do this all on her own. That's exactly what we would have expected.
She looked at the last camera image we got of Kowalczyk's face. I felt that she was more tense than normal. We see her often gritting her teeth, but she just seemed to have this fear. When the rest of the world's chasing you, you've got to have some fear inside.
Yeah, very different, because usually, being #1 in the world, you start last in all the time trial races, and when you have the mass starts, you start together and you work a tactic out. She's not used to playing the hare, and at the moment, that's what she's got to do, and so you have to be good at that. And in the men's tour, Mike, we know that Petter Northug is the master of the mass start, but he hasn't really mastered the individual time trials.
That's so true. It's such different psychologies, as you say. Kowalczyk is used to starting all this season from in second to last or last position, where the world is ahead of her. Now they're all chasing her down, and Saarinen is putting in a big attack to close this gap.
Well, the gap has grown since the start. She started just 6 seconds clear. The last record we had, she's over 14 seconds clear at the moment. But the pace in the chasing pack, I think, will pick up as Magic and